in India, but Super Sunday has really gotten off to a historic start. You are now only one step away from history and glory when it comes to the world of chess because round 13 today, Gukesh, Domaraju Gukesh has beaten Alireza Firouzja in an intense battle that lasted for nearly 5 hours and 45 minutes. It was a very intense middle game and end game, and because of this, Gukesh is now in the sole lead in the candidates heading into the final round that will be played on Sunday night. This is a very important win for Domaraju Gukesh because he is now in the sole lead with 8.5 points out of the 13 that has been played. Now, tomorrow is the last round of the candidates. If he can draw with Hikaru Nakamura, then he can create history in a big way. Now, what has happened on round 13 today, which has given Gukesh the chance to dream and has given a billion Indians a chance to dream? Two factors. One, the Nakamura versus Nepomniachtchi game ended in a quick draw, and that means they only got to 8 points. Now the complication here that has come is that Fabiano Caruana is almost beating Pragnananda, so he's going to go to 8 points. Now four players are separated by 0.5 points. Gukesh on top, Nepomniachtchi, Nakamura, and Caruana are all level with 8 points. Gukesh's brilliance in the end game and the way how he managed to put Alireza Firouzja under pressure was really something, because at certain points in time he was always dominating when it came to the time pressure. He was dominating in a big way when it came to the other situations, when it came to the middle race. When the queens were traded, he then relied on a solid rook game, and then he had a brilliant pawn structure in place. Because Alireza Firouzja had one A pawn which was very nearby, but then it was blocked by the others, and his knights couldn't make that much of penetration as well as the rooks. He had to resign after a very long and epic fight. Alireza tried to ensure that he could build pressure on Gukesh, but unfortunately it did not work out. And because of this monumental result, this is a big victory for Gukesh, because in the only game that he has lost in the candidates 2024, it was to this particular individual, Alireza Firouzja. Firouzja was totally undone in the middle and the end games, and because of that, he has lost to Gukesh. And now, with Pragnananda's unfortunate loss and with Vidit also drawing with Nijat Abbasov, only Gukesh is in the fray for the candidates title. 8.5 points out of 13, and now with only one round to go, there is history about to be created, because look at the pairings that's going to happen. With four people in the fray, Gukesh just has to do one thing. He has to beat Nakamura. If he draws, then he has to hope that the Ian Nepomniachtchi versus Fabiano Caruana game ends in a draw. If Caruana and Nepomniachtchi draw, and if Gukesh manages to draw with Nakamura and avoid a defeat, then he will be crowned the champion of the candidates. It is a monumental feat for one reason. He will, at the age of 17, be the youngest to win the candidates, and he will be the youngest ever world championship contender in the history of chess. And the most important thing, if he manages to win the candidates tomorrow, then 100 plus years, nearly 200 plus years of European and American dominance will end in the world of chess. It will be China versus India in the World Championship encounter that will happen later in the year. So it is going to be an epoch-making event tomorrow. April 21 is going to be an epoch-making day, because if Gukesh manages to draw with Nakamura and Nepomniachtchi and Caruana, either of them draw, then Gukesh will be the candidates champion. And it is going to be something which many people would never ever have imagined. I mean, Gukesh was the last individual to come from the FIDE circuit, and he managed to get in through the back door in the candidates. And boy, oh boy, has he made it count. Pragnananda blundered on certain occasions, but Gukesh barely blundered. Vidit blundered on time management issues, but he never blundered. Now, Nepomniachtchi, Caruana, Nakamura. These are the only three guys in the fray now, along with Gukesh. So, as I mentioned, for people joining us at this early morning historic making feat at 5:45 a.m., this is what needs to be done. If Gukesh manages to beat or draw again, if he manages to beat Hikaru Nakamura, he will be crowned the candidates champion, irrespective of what happens with the Fabiano Caruana versus Jan Nepomniachtchi game. If Gukesh draws, and he should hope that the Nepomniachtchi versus Caruana game also ends in a draw, then he has won. If by nature, if the Gukesh versus Caruana, if the Nakamura match ends in a draw, but if either of Nepomniachtchi or Caruana win, we will have a tiebreak situation on 22nd. This is the one thing that he may want to avoid at this point. So it is very, very important that Gukesh does not slip up. If he loses to Hikaru Nakamura, game over. He cannot win the candidates by any stretch of the imagination, because Nakamura will then get to 9 points. Gukesh will be stuck on 8.5. So if he loses, Gukesh is out of the candidates race. He can't win. But if he draws and Nepomniachtchi and Caruana draw their game, then he is crowned the world champion. He's crowned the candidates champion, and he will be going to face Ding Lijian in the world championships. This is how massive this is. We might see the end of European and American dominance in chess for 2 centuries, with India versus China potentially loading later in the year in 2024. So today, April 21, it's going to be an epoch-making day for millions of chess fans in India, because D. Gukesh has beaten Alireza Firouzza, gone into the sole lead. He's 8.5. Behind him are Jan Nepomniachtchi, Fabiano Caruana, and Hikaru Nakamura, all with 8 points. Tomorrow will be an epic chess day, and history is just about another 24 hours away. India might be doing their heads high in Toronto. And Urmil Bamboria is saying, well done, Sid, much appreciated. Bonjour from Paris. Bonjour to you too, Sid Patak. We win. Goldie Gukesh is like Urmil Bamboria, man on a mission. Guki is our Rocky. And yes, today, Gukesh is really going to be the toast of the chess world. I mean, at the age of 17, he's potentially having the chance to becoming the youngest ever candidates champion in history. And if he becomes the candidates winner, India versus China later in the year in October or November in 2024, because Gukesh will then face Ding Lijian, and that is a historic step in more ways than one. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this video. We'll be back with more updates on sports today. Tap the bell icon so you know when we go live. Don't forget, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Bye-bye.